Please be seated. The court is now in session. For today and tomorrow proceedings, as the Chamber informed the parties and the public during the hearing on the 21st September 2012, we will hear the testimony of the witness TCW 475. Before we invite the witness into the courtroom, Mrs. Sakovati, could you report the attendance of the parties and individuals to today's proceeding? Sakovati, Mr. President, all parties are present except the accused Ian Sari, who is absent due to his health. The accused waived his direct presence in the hearing of the witness TCW 475 today. Answer vacant. The International Defense Counsel for Kirsampon is absent today and tomorrow due to his personal commitment. The witness TCW 475 is present in the waiting room to be called by the Chamber. The witness confirms through the best knowledge that the witness does not have any relation by blood or by law to any of the three accused or any of the civil parties recognized in this case. The witness already took an oath this morning. Thank you. President, thank you. Ms. Sakovati, do we have a reserved witness today? Sakovati, Mr. President, we do not have a reserved witness for this week's proceeding. Thank you. Before we commence hearing the testimony of the witness, the Chamber will decide on the request by the accused Ian Sari. The request by Ian Sari, dated 18 September 2012, through his counsel to waive his direct presence for the 7 witnesses and 1 civil party. Amongst the 7 witnesses, TCW 475 is 1. Based on the medical report, number 625, by the Khmer Soviet Friendship Hospital, which confirmed and states that Ian Sari is being hospitalized at the emergency section of that hospital, and it states the necessity of hospitalization of Mr. Ian Sari, and the hearing of the 2 treating doctors of Mr. Ian Sari at the Khmer Soviet Friendship Hospital on last Friday, the 21st September 2012, who revealed that it is necessary for Ian Sari to be hospitalized, and it may take quite some time, up to 1 month or more, for him to stay at the hospital. And Ian Sari already expressed his waiver to hear certain witnesses due to his health, and as he needs to be treated at the hospital. The Chamber grants the request by inquiry to verify their presence in the hearing of this witness. And this is pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC Internal Rules. Court officer, could you invite the witness TCW 475 into the courtroom? Yes, counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. Very briefly, just by way of clarification, I don't think we've been told, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong if we have been, the scope of this witness testimony. I assume it's communication structure. This will help us formulating any objections if necessary. I assume it's communication structure, but
President, counsel for Noon Jie asked for this witness. The chamber has not informed any other parties as to what scoped questions shall be put to this witness. This witness, however, is within the scope of the communication and administrative structures as we determined for the second phase of the trial. And parties are actually instructed by the chamber to put questions in certain cases in regards to all the scopes within case 002. That is for those witnesses that the chamber did not restrict or limit the scope of questions to be put to that particular witness. So questions can be put within the scope and facts before the chamber, and this witness is within the scope of the administrative and communicative structure.
thank you.
President, good morning, witness. Please be advised before you respond. You need to wait until you see the red light on the tip of the microphone or the red light on the console. And when the red light is on, it means the microphone system is operational and you can speak. And your voice will go through the interpretation system and for the proper record. So your voice will travel through the system when the microphone is on. Can you tell the chamber your name? Witness. Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Num Saim. Thank you, Mrs. Num Saim. Besides Num Saim, have you had other names or aliases, in particular the names you used during the revolutionary period? Response: No. Thank you. Question: When were you born? Response: I was born on 2nd February 1953. Question: Where is your current address? Response: My current address is in Old Ampel Village, Tulpungro Commune, Malay District, Banteay Meanchey Province. Question: What is your current occupation? Response: I am a rice farmer. Question: What is your father's name? Response: His name is Question: Do you recall his surname? Response: No, I cannot recall the surname. Question: What is your mother's name? Response: My mother's name is Mok Kun. Question: What is your husband's name? Response: His name is Kan Lin, alias Kain. Question: Is he alive? Response: He is deceased. Question: How many children do you have? Response: I have 5 children. Thank you. What is your level of education? Response: I studied up to grade 3 in the old education system. Grade 3 in the old education system as the president. Response: Yes, that is the old education system's grade. President, Mrs. Namsam, according to the report by the greffier, that to your knowledge, you are not related by blood or by law to any of the civil parties in this case, nor any of the 3 accused, that is Nuon Chea, Ieng Sari and Khieu Sampon. Is this information correct? Response: That is correct. Question: Also, as reported by the greffier, you already took an oath before you entered this courtroom. Is that correct? Response: Yes. Thank you. The Chamber will now inform you of your right and obligation as a witness to testify before this Chamber. Mrs. Nam Sam, as a witness in the proceedings before this Chamber, you may refuse or decline to respond to any question through a fact which could incriminate yourself, that is, your right against self-incrimination, If you think your response or comment or your assertion could put you in a position to be prosecuted, and as for your obligation, you must testify before this chamber by responding to any of the questions that the bench or the parties put them to you, except in the case that you feel your response or comment could incriminate you, as we just informed you earlier. And you must speak of the truth that you have heard, have seen, have witnessed, or recalled, or experienced, or observed in person in regards to events or facts put in the questions to you by the chamber or any of the parties. Do you understand your right and obligation? Response: yes. Thank you. Mrs. Nam Sam, have you been interviewed by investigators of the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges? That is in the past couple of years? If so, how many times were you interviewed, where and when? Response: I was interviewed once at my house. I cannot recall the year of the interview. President: thank you. To your best recollection, before you came to testify, have you read or reviewed the written record of your interview with the investigators of the OCIJ in order to refresh your memory? Response: yes, I read it several times. Question: to your best knowledge and recollection, can you confirm whether that written record of interview that you have read to refresh your memory accurately reflect the responses that you provided to the investigators previously, as you said, when you were interviewed at your house? Response: it is accurate. Thank you. The chamber would like to inform the prosecution that the hearing of this testimony, the first party to question this witness will be given to the prosecution. Both the prosecution and the lead co-lawyers would have a one-day allocation to put questions to this witness. You may proceed.
Co-prosecutor. Thank you, Mr. President. Very good morning, Your Honors. Very good morning to everyone here, and good morning, Mrs. Nam Sam. I am Chandara Ratsamai. I have a few questions to put to you, and based on your best recollection, please respond to the questions, in particular the events that happened before 1975 and after 1975. The first few questions are relevant to the events before 1975. My focus now is between 1968 and 1979. Please respond to all the questions if you remember. When did you join the revolutionary movement? Response. It was in 1968 that I joined the revolution. Prosecutor. Thank you. Why did you join the revolution? Response. At that time, my elder brother had already entered the jungle before me, and he sent a letter home. And his letter was received by the authority, the village authority, and I was frightened. At that time, there were groups of people, perhaps the soldiers belonging to Lolnol or Sihanouk, I don't remember for sure, and for fearing for our life, we had to run to the jungle for our safety. Question. Could you tell the chamber, please, what was the letter about and what made you feel so fearful? Response. I'm afraid I don't remember what was written in that letter. Question. When you joined the revolution, what were you made to do? Response. At first, I had to be assigned to Oral Mountain, and I had been made to attend medical trainings for about a month. After the training course, people learned that I could sing, so I was later on assigned to become a singer. Question. Could you also tell the chamber, please, the contents of the songs you were asked to sing for the revolution? What were the main purposes of those songs? Response. The songs were very educational. We had to sing the songs to educate people on the revolutionary cause, and that's all. Question. Between 1968 and 1974, had you ever been a member of the CPK? Response. During this period of time, I had been inducted as the member of the CPK. Yes, indeed. Question. Why did you or were you introduced to become a member of the CPK at that time? Response. I belong to a poor peasant class, a clean and pure class. That's why I was admitted. Question. Who made you become the CPK member at that time? Response. Mr. Hunam did. Question. Where were you or where did you become the member of the CPK? Response. It was at an office. I don't remember. It was in Kampong Thom province in the jungle. Question. Had you also been introduced or to become the member of the Youth League of the CPK? Response. At the beginning, I had been the member of the Youth League before I became the member of the party. Question. You say that Hunam introduced you to become the member of the CPK. How did you get to know him? Response. I knew him because I had been working with him in the office. It's office B30 or something. Question. Do you remember what Mr. Hunam's role were? Response. No, I don't. Question. Just now, you said you used to live in Kampong Speu. Apart from being in Kampong Speu, where else did you live or stay, and what did you do there? Response. I was transferred from Kampong Speu to Kampong Thom. Still remained in the art group of Zone 304. I had been trained in that zone. Question. Can you tell the chamber, please, where zone or sector 304 located? Response. 304 was in the jungle in Kampong Thom province. It was near the village. One of the villages called Koki. I don't think I remember this precisely. Question. At sector 304, how long had you been there, and what kind of tasks were you assigned with? Response. At 304, I had been staying there for about a year before I moved to the central office. I still worked in the art group. Question. Working as in the art group, were you only a singer or did you do something else? Response. I was a singer and art performer. Question. Can you please tell the chamber briefly who were the members of Zone 304 in 1974? Response. I don't remember. Question. Do you still recall who was the head of the art group in 1975? Response. The head of the art group was Trier alias Sao. Question. Who was he? Response. He was a petty bourgeoisie student in Phnom Penh. Question. When you said or you stated before the investigators, when you were put some questions, you indicated that you knew Saw Siak. Can you also tell the chamber, please, who Saw Siak is? Response. Saw Siak, or alias Sim, is from perhaps Kampong Cham or Privang, and she joined the art group together with me at office S6. Question. Is it correct to say that Mrs. Saw was in your art group in the same sector or zone 304? Response. At S6, the S6 is named as the art group for the center, and it was under zone 304 indeed. Question. Can you also tell the chamber, please, during the time when you were in Kampong Thom until 1974, had you ever seen any of the CPK's leaders, including Pol Pot, Nuon Chea, Ieng Sari, Khieu Samphan, and Son Sen? Have you ever seen them? Response. I used to see Uncle Nuon Chea during the study sessions I attended. Question. Apart from Mr. Nuon Chea, did you happen to see other senior leaders? Response. No, I didn't. Question. Can you please describe the circumstance when you met with Mr. Nuon Chea? It was during a meeting or in other occasion? Response. I met him during the study sessions. Political study sessions, to be precise. Question. How often did you see him? Response. I met him only on one occasion. Question. Did you know what he did at that time? What his role was? Response. When I met him, I did not know what his roles were, but I knew for sure that he came to give lecture during the trainings. Question. Can you also tell the chamber, please, the contents of such lectures? What did Mr. Nuon Chea teach the trainees? Response. I do not recall them. Question. Do you still remember the location where you attended the session where Nuon Chea gave lecture? Response. It was at office core 30. Question. Could you also tell the chamber, please, where did these senior people stay people including Nuon Chia in Kampong Thom? Where did they stay? Response: I don't know. Question: Do you still remember that between 1973 and 1974 where Mr. Nuon Chia could have been and what he could have been doing?
Objection, Your Honor.
The President, Mrs. Witness, could you please hold on? Counsel for Mr. Nuon Chia, you may proceed.
At least the way the question was phrased in English clearly called for speculation. Could he know? Could she know? Would she know? And obviously, those kinds of questions have been not allowed by this chamber on a regular basis. So I object on the basis that it's speculative.
Co-prosecutor, Mr. President, allow me to explain, please. My question was about whether she knew, for example, during the training session, whether Nuon Chia explained to her the roles of Mr. Nuon Chia during that time, 1973 and 1974. My question is more about her best recollection. If she doesn't remember, then I may proceed to another. The President, the objection is not sustained, and the witness is now instructed to respond to the question if she still recalls. Co-prosecutor, Mrs. Nam Sam, I would like to ask you this question again. Between 1973 and 1974, had you ever learned whether Mr. Nuon Chia ever told you where he was? In particular, during the time when you attended the study session. If you don't remember, I may proceed to another new question. Response: I don't remember. Co-prosecutor, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to proceed to another question. Mrs. Witness, do you know Piem Commune? Response: Yes, I do. Piem is the commune where I live. Response: Did you work there or live there? Response: Piem was my hometown. The President, Mr. Co-prosecutor, could you please be more precise? Because Piem commune or Piem village could have been any Piem. You know, we have several Piems in the whole Cambodia. It could be anywhere. Could you please be more precise as to which district this Piem commune located? Co-prosecutor, thank you, Mr. President. Piem was the commune in Kampong Tralaj, the district. And she already responded to my question. Another question, please. Between 1973 and 1974, to your best recollection, was the CPK base located near Piem commune, Kampong Tralaj district of Kampong Chnang? Response: It was not located near Piem commune. Question: If not, could you also tell the chamber where the CPK leader's base or office could have been located? Response. It was in Kampong Thom province and Kampong Cham. Question. I would like to move to another topic, which is between 1974 to 1975. So my questions will be falling in these periods. During 1974, had you ever traveled abroad with some senior leaders? Response. In 1974, I had been traveling to foreign countries with Mr. Ieng Sari, Kiew Samphan, and Mr. Tiu Al and Mrs. Ieng Tirat. Question. To which countries did you go to? Response. We went to 13 countries, including Vietnam, China, Korea. I don't remember the rest. Question. What was the purpose of your travel, and what was the purpose of the delegation who traveled to those countries? Response. I don't remember, because at that time I was there because I was part of the art group. Question. How often did you go there? And do you know whether senior leaders had traveled abroad on several occasions during 1974? Response. I went there only on one occasion, but the delegation who had to travel abroad also didn't go there quite often, so far as I remember. Question. Can you tell the chamber, please, how or in which month of the year did the delegation and go to each country? Response. I went there only on one occasion. We went to 13 countries on just that single trip. It was a 1 month trip, but I don't remember the date, the exact month. Perhaps it was in April. Question. Did you know Mr. Tiu Al and Mr. Suong Sikun? Response. Yes, I did know Mr. Tiu Al and Mr. Dun, says the witness. Question. Can you tell the chamber, please, what Mr. Tiu Al and Suong Sikun were doing at that time? Counsel. The President, the witness, could you please hold on? Counsel for Mr. Kiew Samphan, you may proceed. Counsel Kung Som-on. Thank you, Mr. President. National Co-Prosecutor put 2 questions to the witness. First, about Mr. Tiu Al and Suong Sikun. Mrs. Witness already stated that she knew Tiu Al. She didn't say she knew Suong Sikun. So we would like the chamber to we would like the co-prosecutor to be more precise whether the witness knows the second person or not before proceeding to the new question. Question. Mrs. Nam Sam already stated that she knew Tiêu All. Now, to be more precise, do you also know Mr. Suong Sikun? Response. Yes, I know that person because he joined the trip with us. Question. So it is correct to say that you know them both. The next question is that what did Mr. Tiêu All and Suong Sikun do at that time? What were their functions? Response. I don't know. Question. With regard to the trip to 13 countries, as you indicated, did you go visit all these 13 countries, or you only went to a few of them? Response. Yes, I did go to all the 13 countries as indicated. Question. Can you tell the chamber, please, in Europe, what did you do and what did the delegation do in the countries? Response. In Europe, the delegation paid visits to museums and at that time, I was someone who sang for the group, and I don't remember more than this. Question. What about in Africa? What did the delegation do, and what did you do when you reached Africa? Response. I don't remember. The prosecutor. Mr. President, I would like to cite the statement, and to refresh her memory, I would like to quote document E3/115 IS 12.8. It is the quote from the text concerning the trip of the Funk and the Grunk to Africa. This document is quoted from AKI. The delegation of the Funk and the Grunk, led by Mr. Khieu Samphan, member of the Funk Central Committee Political Bureau, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Defense of Grunk, and Commander-in-Chief of FAPLNK, and Deputy Chief Mr. Ieng Sari, Special Advisor of the Vice Presidency of Grunk Council, left Peking on the 19th of April by special flight to visit European and African countries. At the stadium, we noted the members from Albania, Yugoslavia, Algeria, Mauritania, Cameroon, the representatives to China. Mrs. Nam Sam, do you believe that the statement I quote from the AKI as the correct statement?
Response: that is correct. Question. Let me move to another question. Before the investigators of the OCIJ, you stated that you were selected to work in Vietnam in 1974. Is that accurate? Response: yes, it is. Question. Can you tell us who selected you to work in Vietnam? Response: I was not sure, but Mr. Ingsari took me there. Question: where were you allowed to work and what was the nature of your work there? Response: I work at the radio station and I was a singer. Question: where was the radio station located, if you can recall? Response: it was located at the outskirts of Hanoi City. Question: who was in charge of that radio station? Response: I was not sure of the person who was in charge. It could be Mrs. Ieng Thieret or a person by the name of Su. Question: can you tell us the content of the programs broadcast on the radio? Response: I cannot recall them all. It was the dissemination of information. It was about the attack in the battlefield against the Americans. That's what I can recall. Question: who actually oversaw the radio programs before they were broadcast, and who were the authors of those programs, if you can recall it? Response: no, I cannot recall it. I forget. Question: how long did you work there? Response: I worked there for 1 year. Question: the colleagues who worked with you, who were they, including your superior at that radio station? Response: I cannot recall it. I can only recall Mr. Mi, Mr. Con. That's all. Question. Let me move on to another questions in order to remind you of the event after the trip that you made with Kisampon and Ieng Sari in Vietnam, in China, and North Korea, and Romania, Yugoslavia, and other countries. It means after the trip with those individuals, did you return to Cambodia first before you went to Hanoi, or Upon the return from China with Khieu Samphan, Ieng Sari, you continued your trip directly to Hanoi? Response: We went directly to Hanoi. Question: Can you tell us who gave you an instruction to go to Hanoi? Response: It was Ieng Sari. Question: After your return from Europe and Africa in 1974, amongst those leaders of the Krung, who else left China to go together with you on that trip to Vietnam? Can you recall the names of those CPK leaders or those Krung members? That was 1974. Response: There were Khieu Samphan, Tiêu Ol, Ieng Sari, and the performance art group, including myself, Sao, and Con. Question: Can you tell us clearly the exact date of your returning from China and went directly to Vietnam? Response: I cannot recall the exact date, but I can recall the month. It was in April. Question: April of what year? Response: The year was 1974. Question: Those leaders who went with you to Vietnam, did they stay with you or did they stay elsewhere? Response: They stayed separately. Question: Can you tell us those leaders, as you just named them, upon arrival at Vietnam, what activities did they engage in? Response: I did not know. Question: Can you tell us the duration of their stay in Vietnam, that is the stay of those leaders? Response: The 1-month trip, including those visits abroad. Question: How long did they stay in Vietnam? Response: Only Ieng Thieret stayed there for 1 year. Question: Did you know about the activities of Ieng Sari and Khieu Samphan after they left Vietnam for Cambodia? What part of Cambodia did they return to? Did you know that? Response: They went to Kampong Thom. Question. Did they tell you the purpose of going there? Did they tell you before they left you? Response. No, they did not tell me. Thank you for your response. Let me move on to another subject matter that is in regards to the Ministry of Information and Propaganda. Please respond if you can recall it, and if not, please state so. Question. When did you return to Cambodia? What was the exact date of your return? Response. It was in May 1975 when I returned to Cambodia. Question. Why did you return to Cambodia? Response. Because Cambodia had been liberated by then. Question. Upon your arrival in Cambodia, where did you stay and what work did you do? Response. When I returned, I worked at the propaganda section and I was still an art performer. Question. Who assigned you to work in the performing arts at the Ministry of Information and Propaganda? Response. It was Hu Num. Question. From what time or for how long did you work as a performance artist at the Ministry of Information and Propaganda? Response. I worked there for 1 year from 1975 to 1976. Question. Can you tell us who was your superior at the Ministry of Information and Propaganda? Response. The chair of the propaganda was Hu Num, and the chair of the performance arts was Comrade Sao, alias Trier, Mr. Mom, and Mr. Cao. Question. Can you tell us the role of Mr. Trier and Cao at that ministry? Response. Mr. Sao's position was the chairman and he wrote songs. As for the other person, I was not sure. Question. Did you know about the administrative and organizational structure at the Ministry of Information and Propaganda where you worked? Response. I did not know that well. Question. While you were working in that ministry, was the work there and the work that you did in Vietnam one and the same? Response. It was the same type of work. I sang and I read news on radio. Question. You read on the radio for its broadcast. Can you tell us what was the content of the articles that you read? Response. the content of the articles was about encouraging the people to dig canal, to build dams. That's how I recall it. Question: who actually gave you those articles to read, and who was the author or the one who oversaw those articles before you were assigned to read? Response: Han was the person who wrote those articles, and I cannot recall the names of other people. Question: can you tell us who was the chairman of the radio at the time? Response: I was not sure. It could be Hunam, who was in charge in that section. Question: regarding the broadcast on the radio, were those articles that you read it in whole, or was there instruction from the upper echelon to edit it or to oversee it first before it was given to you to read? How was it done? Response: I did not know that much. When I was given a piece of the article to read, I just read it on the radio, and my voice will be recorded and broadcast. Question: did you ever read any article on the radio talking about the defeat of Tribunal or the defeat of the American imperialists? Response: yes, I did. Question: did you ever hear about the victory of the 17th April 1975? If so, was it frequent? Response: I heard about that phrase, but I cannot recall all the details. Question: what about the Great Leap Forward? Did you ever hear the broadcast of this phrase, or did you ever read any article illustrating this phrase when you read it? Yes, I heard about that phrase, but I never read it. Question: what about class struggle, party lines, and party strategy? Did you ever hear or read these phrases on the radio? Response: no, I did not. Question: what about the phrase, the quote, leaders of the Democratic Cambodia, and our quote, including the names of Ieng Sari, Noon Chia, Kisampon, and Ieng Thieret? Did you frequently read those names for radio broadcast? Response: no, I did not. I did not read their names. Question: what about the articles regarding the activities of those CPK leaders? Did you ever read articles related to their activities on the radio? Response: no, I did not. Question: what about the phrase "to smash the enemy," or the enemy borrowing deep within, or the word traitor? Did you ever read any article or coming across such words in the articles that you read? Response: No, I did not. Question: You stated the following. On the 15th September, before your testimony recently, I refer to court document E1/108.1. In that transcript, in French, it is on page 92, and in English, it page 80, and in Khmer, it's page 67. The witness talk about the education, about the aggression by the enemy, and about the struggle to defend territory. Did you ever hear about all these words? That is the struggle to defend the motherland. Response: Yes, I heard those words. I have 5 more questions for this witness, Mr. President, before I conclude my session. Question: In relation to marriage, when you read articles on the radio, did you ever come across a topic in relation to marriage or the prohibition of paying respects to the religion, about the evacuation or starvation? Response: No, I did not hear about these words. Question: Did you ever read speeches or announcement of any of the CPK leaders in relation to the party's political lines? Response: No, I did not. My third last question. Did you ever hear the voice of the people who were interviewed and that the voice to be broadcast on the radio? If you heard those voices recorded from the people, what was it about? The interpreter cannot hear the voice from the prosecutor.